Oh, hello. My name is Anthony Peters, and today we're going to be talking about teenage drug use and its portrayal in the media. Now, before we get started, I want to talk about recent trends in teenage drug abuse. According to the National Institute on Drug Abuse, teens are at an all-time low when it comes to trying drugs. According to recent numbers, 34% of seniors have tried marijuana, 7.7% have tried amphetamines, and 3.6% have tried MDMA, also known as Molly, and also known as ecstasy. And only 2.5% have tried cocaine. Now, with numbers that low, you might ask yourself, why is it important to know about how the media is portraying drug abuse, especially in the teenage population? Well, there are numbers that suggest that positive portrayals of drug abuse can lead to higher numbers. So let's take a look at that. Now, the exposure of drug use in all forms of the media does have an impact on how youth views drugs. In one study, 22% of movies viewed had one scene of drug use, and half of those scenes didn't have a negative consequence of that drug use. A recent Columbia study showed that viewing an R-rated movie can come with a six-fold increase in risk of a teenager smoking marijuana. And in one role-playing scenario, when pretending to buy groceries, children aged 2 to 6 who saw PG-13 or R-rated movies were 5 times more likely to buy beer or wine when playing this imaginary role. Now, this does show that a positive view of drug use in the media in all its forms, either social media, television shows, or movies, does have an effect on young kids. So let's take a look at some examples of movies that show the different consequences and different aspects of drug use in teenage culture. First up is Reefer Madness. Reefer Madness was released in 1936 and was actually a propaganda film that told the story of 3 teenagers whose lives were ruined thanks to drugs. Now, when I say propaganda films, that actually means that newspaper mogul William Randolph Hearst actually funded the movie as his way to help get marijuana illegal. Now, in this film, marijuana use is portrayed as a drug that will lead to habitual use as well as dire consequences. You have 3 teenagers, they start smoking marijuana, next thing you know, they're hanging out in jazz clubs, and their life goes complete mess, and their lives are ruined for the rest of their lives. Reefer Madness also helped set the anti-marijuana sentiment that is just now starting to recede in America. So that brings us to 1982, Fast Times at Ridgemont High. Now, Fast Times at Ridgemont High follows multiple students through a school year at the fictional high school. Now, the main character I kind of want to talk about is the minor character, Jess Spicoli. He's kind of the most well-known, even though he does have a bit of a minor role. He is a surfer. He's the quintessential California surfer in the 70s and 80s. He is a known marijuana smoker, and throughout the movie, Spicoli is used as the movie's source of humor. And other than missing a dance because of he has this come to Jesus moment with the principal, he receives no negative repercussions for his drug use, and is actually seen as kind of this lovable guy that smokes weed all the time. That brings us to 1995, The Basketball Diaries. Now, this one's a little harder. Jim Carroll is a young, promising high school basketball player whose life is turned upside down by his addiction to heroin. Now, this is based on a real movie. The Basketball Diaries is one of the few popular movies of the time that showed the negative consequences of heroin. Now, he's a basketball player. He starts shooting up heroin, and then he starts committing felonies. He starts living on the streets. This really started to show exactly how hard it was for people who did end up on heroin. And like I said, Carroll would end up living on the streets, stealing and killing to survive, and he actually literally kills somebody. So that brings us to Project X in 2012. Now, in 2012, Project X was kind of the new teenage party movie that really kind of blew everything out of proportion. So 3 teenagers throw a party, and actually it goes to a full-scale riot. Now, teenagers throughout the movie drink alcohol, use illicit drugs, and have sex at the party. And other than getting in trouble by the parents in the law, and in trouble is kind of a nominal use of the word. Like it's, they're not really, I think it just ends up being grounded in, some minor community service. It's nothing crazy. Like the actual negative consequences of the rampant drug use is minimal. So, there's no health side effects. There's no, other than just property damage. There's really no negative consequences. And it's really played up to as this good, fun time. This is more just kind of getting you guys thinking about how drug use is portrayed in the media and kind of, versus reality. And I hope you guys liked it. Thank you very much. Here are my references if you guys want to look up all my different facts. And I'll see you over when I talk about my lesson plan. All right, thank you very much.